Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, folks? Glad to have you here on a Monday night for a little bit of Nothing But Rants. As we have been working up and building up our off-season platform and content over here, it's glad to have you, or glad to have you rather, here with us tonight on a Monday evening. Let's get right after it. Don't know if you've seen it, but the Big Ten is trying. They are trying, folks. The sneaky little report today that the Big Ten is eyeing 4 more Pac-12 teams, that being Oregon, Cal, let's see here. Where are my notes here? Come on, you got it. Holy smokes. Washington and Stanford. Oh, my God. So basically everybody but Utah remaining in that conference, they have now tried to pluck or are attempting to pluck, right? Already have Cal and UCLA joining in to what is now a 16-team conference in the Big Ten. Surely they're going to rebrand that at some point, you would imagine. But nonetheless, they're going from a Big 10 to a Big 14 to a Big 16 to now attempting a Big 20. So it'll be nice and interesting to watch this Big 10 team, or conference rather, have this amalgamation of what is basically like 2/3 of the Pac-12. Lord knows what's going to happen with that conference. And, of course, all of the traditional Big Ten teams, if that's what you want to call them. UCLA and USC students who are going to start this, transition to the Big Ten, start soon. They have to travel a minimum of 1,300 miles per a report I saw today to play their road games. The closest road game these two teams will play all year long in all conferences, or rather in all sports, men's and women's, will be Nebraska. They will travel from Southern California to Nebraska. That'll be the closest, kind of road game that they'll even have in this so-called conference of teams that are supposed to be geographically located. We're kind of throwing that out in terms of what restructuring college football conferences look like. Where teams are located apparently doesn't matter unless you're someone who has to put these logistics together. But it kind of begs the next question to me. It's why we're talking about it here on tonight's program. Obviously, this being an SEC-focused and primarily dominated conversation here on this platform. What does it mean for the SEC? What does it mean for a potential move? Are they going to try to match this? Have they already thought about matching this? Are they going to make any moves? Well, the SEC already has 16 teams, right, with Texas and Oklahoma being added to the mix. I don't know who the 4th team is here, but I know 3 that I'd be circling in big red ink. Clemson, come on with it. Florida State, come on too. Miami, let's go. All right, that ACC is going to die off just like the Pac-12. We can spot a loser when we can spot a loser. Let those guys just kind of make a new AAC out of the ACC and the Pac-12 and just let that happen. And who knows what's going to happen with the Big 12. Nonetheless, the SEC's got to figure out, I guess, what's going to happen with this match, or trying to match the Big Ten, or do they even want to? What is the financial reasons to do so? I know that Florida State has already gone about being so brazen that they have brought up buyouts in the ACC meetings with the decision makers. I read a report the other day that said basically the commissioner, or the president at Florida State, kind of floated the idea that, hey, like, we'll bite the bullet, like we'll pay whatever it takes to get out of the ACC. And Chris Porter, or Caleb Porter rather, in the live chat here, comments on YouTube, makes a great point. UNC is the 4th. I thought about UNC as well, but how do you get them to separate ties from Duke and the historical basketball ties that are the ACC? The 4th in my mind was Notre Dame. Why didn't Notre Dame get in on the Big Ten mix? Why haven't they got in on the ACC mix? Notre Dame, first of all, get over yourselves. Notre Dame is this constant program that tells everyone they're elite and they're great. And they got their own TV network, and that's awesome. And they feel that they have the upper hand here, that they can sit around and sit on their hands and wait, and create a bidding war. The Big Ten's going to want us. The SEC's going to want us. Well, guess what, Bubba? The Big Ten's, they ain't going to 21. No, they're going to 20. They've eyed their 20. They have circled in pen in big red ink the 4 teams that they're going to add to their 16, their super conference that is 20. So it's either hop on this bandwagon because the SEC, it doesn't look like I see a feasible fourth team out of the ACC, right? Florida State, Miami, and why is my retention? And Clemson obviously makes such easy sense. Florida's going to have to get over themselves as well because they've been the reason that kind of the other Florida schools haven't been able to get in the SEC since the mid-90s when conference expansion initially happened. So Florida's going to have some, fits about this. Clemson and the ACC is going to have fits about this. They're going to have to figure out a 20th team if they want to do so. Otherwise, just leave it at 16. I'm interested to see what you guys think about that. Do you feel that, hey, if the Big Ten suddenly has 20 teams, are they somehow superior? Does that make them better? Do you think the TV rights, obviously they would go up higher. The TV contract that's announced by ESPN will be immaculate, right? The Big Ten contract, if they had a new 20-team deal under a new TV contract, it would sound immaculate. But when you actually split it out over 20 teams, is it that much higher than a 16-team structure as long as the 16 teams are that much superior to that of the Big Ten conference schedules? I don't know. I think it's great that it's happening. It's awesome that we get to talk about it. I think this is one step further in the, guys, just hold on. Hold on to your hats. Hold on to your seats. Hold on to whatever your cliche is because we don't know what the hell's about to happen to the world that is college football. To the world in general, but in the world of college football. I'm glad that you guys are here with us tonight. As we told you at the top of the show, we got a loaded show for you guys tonight. As you can see by the title of the show that you are watching, we're going to talk about how Kirby Smart's success and national title success, winning success, could not have come at a better time for the University of Georgia. We're going to take a look ahead at the NFL Combine. I know that's what everyone's talking about tonight and this week as in the lead up to this week's events. There was some Jalen Carter news today. I'll tell you why it doesn't matter unless it does matter. Big words right there from Brooks tonight. Too much coffee. It'd be like that. Squeeze the Nespresso machine with an espresso shot like last second. And then as I was doing pre-show duties, I let it get cold. So it just straight to the head. And I think it's all settling in right now. I also want to talk to you about the Glenn Schumann news today that was leaked out via some agencies. That's clear as day. One thing I pride myself on here is not being afraid to kind of show you what is obvious in the media world. I don't mind pulling back the curtain on folks because you're smart people. If I connect a few dots for you, you can do the rest. All right. When it comes to, particularly when it comes to coaches' contracts and how they are reported, how information gets out, just pay attention. We're going to teach you some stuff tonight. Hope you stick around for the end of that. Man, I don't know. Sometimes it gets caught up how, opposing fan bases will do the Georgia drops bags things. Okay. And I don't know if I'm the first person to tell you this, but Georgia doesn't really operate like that. Georgia's recruitment operation nowadays is not quote unquote NIL based. It's been USC that landed Jordan Addison and sent Pat Narduzzi into a spin cycle of bad press and mother effing everybody out there at USC and Lincoln Riley, right? It's been Tennessee paying $8 million for a high school quarterback. It ain't been Georgia. It's been Florida that promised $13 million to a high school quarterback, only by giving about 2/3 of that, maybe about a third of that actually, and for the kid to ask out of his national letter of intent. That wasn't Georgia. That was Florida that was caught up in national name, image, and likeness news, right? It isn't a Georgia booster that is out here on Twitter begging everyone to come take his money like that joker down there at Miami. It ain't Georgia, right? It ain't Georgia that's got LLCs banding together with that oil money like out there at Texas A&M. It ain't Georgia, all right? It is not Georgia that is doing all of these countless NIL-based recruitments that you see, right? It is not Georgia. Georgia's recruitment strategies are simple. They're as old as time. It is business as usual in Athens at the University of Georgia. It is recruitment-based, or rather, it is relationship-based. Develop relationships with kids. The position coaches at Georgia recruit harder than anywhere else in the country. They don't have a massive recruiting staff. They have an on-campus staff that's pretty big. They do not have a recruiting strategy staff. Those guys get after it on the trail by themselves. They are hammering them phones by themselves. They are relationship-based, and they are development-based. All right? And I'm here to tell you, That crap does not mean a hill of beans. And I don't mean crap. It's great that they can do that. That crap does not mean a hill of beans if you do not win football games and national football games nowadays in college football. In the structure that is college football today, you cannot stand on culture and development without national title success. You cannot do it, okay? You cannot stand there and say, come be a great man. You cannot stand there and say, come get to the NFL. That's great. You can't. No longer. Nowadays, it's either get me paid or win titles and get me to the league. That's it. Those are the only two things that are successful on the recruiting trail. And if you do not believe me, we have a case study. It's Clemson. Clemson is the case study. Clemson's out here doing the culture and development. They preach that culture more than Dabo preaches that Bible up there on that in Death Valley. Okay? But without national title success, you start falling off the cliff. And I'm not saying that Clemson and Georgia operate on the same recruiting budget, because they do not. You would be foolish to believe that. Obviously, Georgia spends more resources on recruiting than illegally than anybody in the country. It has been widely reported. I think they spent about $12 million last year on recruiting, between private jets, helicopters, rent-a-cars, visits, all the good stuff. Georgia spent more money in the legal facets, not NIL, than anyone in the country. They prioritize recruitment far more than anybody else. So I'm not acting like they are operating on the same budget as Clemson. But Clemson, like Georgia, is primarily out here selling recruitment or development and relationships, right? But they are no longer winning at a national title success rate. So without a national or name, image, and likeness budget, and without national title success, look what has happened to Clemson's recruiting rankings since name, image, and likeness came around. In 2021, the very first class that was impacted by name, image, and likeness, Clemson finished 15th. In 2022, the second year, fifth, in 2021. In 2022, they finished 14th in national title or national recruiting rankings. So they dropped 9 spots in 1 year of actual name, image, and likeness. This past year in 2023, they just wrapped up the 15th best class. Okay? And here's the deal. It was all the teams I just talked to you about, right? In 2021, the only teams that were out recruiting Clemson on a yearly basis for about a decade, really, maybe not a decade, for about 7 to 8 years, were these teams: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and LSU. That was it. Those were the only 4 teams that could perennially out-recruit Clemson before name, image, and likeness. Dabo Swinney was doing an incredible job of recruiting it all over across the country prior to name, image, and likeness. As soon as it comes around, right, listen to the teams that start jumping them in the recruiting rankings. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is not a Clemson segment. This is a name, image, and likeness segment. Pay attention. Here are the teams that started leaping schools like Clemson every single year on the recruiting rankings. Okay. Miami jumps Clemson in 2022. USC jumps Clemson in 2022. Texas A&M, all jump them year one of major name, image, and likeness-based recruiting. In 2023, this last class that just cycled up, Florida, after a 6-5 team, or after a 6-5 season, jumped Clemson in recruiting. Texas A&M, after a 3-8 season, maintained their jump over Clemson in recruiting. Tennessee, hello Volunteers, jumped Clemson in recruiting. You can say it was an 11-2 season. That $8 million quarterback and number 2 overall player says a little bit different, right? USC, Miami, Texas, all have mounted like obtainable leads over Clemson in recruiting. Why? Because Clemson can no longer sell, we are guaranteed to win national titles. Clemson can no longer sell, we are going to get you paid. We can get you developed and get you to the league. Name, image, and likeness hasn't impacted the national title winners. They're business as usual. But Georgia just crept their way into that discussion over the last 2 years. That's what I mean when I say the timing of Georgia's national title success could have never been better. Because if they don't have titles, let alone 2, if they don't have a single title right now in 2023, I'm not saying they're Clemson because I just told you their budget's that much better than Clemson. But man, they're in hot water. I mean, they're not swimming and sitting on the beach, kicking their feet up like they are right now. Right now, they can go into anyone's room or anyone's living room and say, son, you come play at the University of Georgia, you're almost guaranteed to win a national title. And if you are a 5-star, I got about a 90% placement rate of you being a first-round draft pick. or you being a top, 65 overall pick. Those types of things, those types of guarantees. But without the success, that model is fugazi. That model is foo-foo. That model is 15th overall in recruiting. You would shit a brick, Georgia fan listening tonight, if tomorrow you woke up and you had the 15th overall ranked recruiting class. And that was it. Done. Period. And your coach was out here talking about, we don't have an NIL-based recruitment strategy. We got an NAIL, talking about Jesus nailed to the cross. I love Jesus as much as the next guy. I love winning national titles too, if I were a college football coach. So yeah, I'm not saying Clemson's got to catch up to the times, but the times done caught up to Clemson. Again, we clear as day who the NIL schools are. I mean, it's right there in blood. In blood on the 24/7 composite rankings. Just pay attention. I'm looking at you. Miami, USC, Texas, Texas A&M, Florida, Tennessee, Oregon. All y'all. Y'all 7. Y'all got that bread. We all know. It's clear as day right there. All you got to do is track it. Okay? Because a lot of those schools were losing programs, right? They were really one-off programs that were not doing well. Historically great programs with a lot of fan base and a lot of money, and a lot of these are in states where you can do stuff like this. A lot of Florida schools in there, Cali school mixed in there, Oregon, Nike school mixed in there, right? Okay, again, all y'all, I know people think Brooks is the Georgia homer. Look at all the red and black stuff. Hell, he's got Stetson Bennett in the corner. It ain't Georgia. If you think it's Georgia out here spending the money, it ain't Georgia. All right? Georgia's out here handling business as usual. And guess what? It ain't the Crimson. It ain't that Crimson team either. All right? You ain't going to see Alabama and Georgia's names brought up in winning bidding wars on the NIL trail. Period. There it is. You know what? We got a few questions up in here. Brooks' dream job, what is it? You know what? I don't know. I really don't. Somebody, dang it, man. I hope you didn't mess me up here for the rest of the night. I done lost my mouse. Criminal. I don't know what the heck's going on with my mouse lately or my PC lately. I think it's Epic Pen and all the nasty junk Epic Pen that the drawing software puts on my PC. But this mouse is done gone to hell. And now we're going to be looking at Rich's comment the rest of the night. So that's just wonderful. No offense to you, Rich, or anything, but good Lord. Oh, I don't even know what to do now. Give me 1 second, guys. We're going to hit this task manager. And we're going to cancel Epic Pen, see what that does for us. This is great to do on a live show, ain't it, boys and girls? But we got our mouse back. How about that? All right, we ain't messing with nothing the rest of the night. Where were we at? We were taking questions, and we were transitioning into our next topic, I believe. I think is where we're at. Holy smokes. Oh, that's what I was telling you. It's a great timing from an NIL-based perspective, because if you didn't have the titles, you couldn't be out here selling winning. It's not gonna buy recruits anymore. That's what you're selling right now, and it's working. And again, you're not broke, but you're not out here doing the $8 million. Kirby Smart would laugh his ass off if some kid demanded that in his room. I mean, not to say it hasn't happened. I'm just saying it's not going to be Georgia. It's not going to be your school. Your school is going to be landing 5 stars because 5 stars still want to come to Georgia. All right. And again, we've got data now. We have obvious data. We have connected plot lines. We have connected stories, connected pieces. We're no longer reading tea leaves. We aren't. Tennessee has made it very, very clear. They are very proud of their name, image, and likeness collective. Texas A&M, y'all aren't sneaky. Your players that y'all signed and bought clearly have made it very obvious based off their social media decisions and what they have said on social media that they went to Texas A&M for money and now they are transferring out. This is no longer in the shadows, so we all know. All right, so again, if you're on Twitter and you're doing the thing against Georgia fans, it's not them. It's not them. Look that thing in the mirror. But it's not just that, right? It's not just the idea of the bidding war and the NIL and all that good stuff. They got some fortunate timing elsewhere too. Have you looked? Have you looked at the 2024 class? We've been on this at Dogs Daily for quite some time. Georgia could sign one of the best classes in the history of recruiting and never leave the state of Georgia. Check this out. There's 12 total 5-stars in 2024. 3 of them are from the state of Georgia. That doesn't include Ellis Robinson, who's already committed to the University of Georgia. 6 of the top 25 players in the country are from the state of Georgia. 17 of the top 100 players in the country are from the state of Georgia. 28 of the top 250 players are from the state of Georgia. I'm not breaking any news here to tell you that Georgia has always been an elite talent base. It's always been an elite talent pool. There has been an investment, however, as of late in the sport of football in this state that rivals any in the country not named Texas. There is not a state or region of the country that is prioritizing high school football and the development of young athletes, both mentally and physically, than the state of Georgia. Did you know 45 head coaches in the state of Georgia make over $100,000? 45. That was as of 2021. There's no. I would venture to say that number is increased over maybe 55, 60. You know, I talked to a buddy of mine, Marcel Reed, works for 24/7 Sports. Coach Reed. He told me he's a coaching legend in St. Louis. Told me he made $100,000. He's the first coach in St. Louis to make $100,000 as a base salary. It was in 2019. 2019 was the first and only high school football coach in St. Louis. This is a Hall of Famers. Guy's going to go down in St. Louis, region, Missouri high school football legend. Going to go down in the Hall of Fame. It's the first and only high school football coach in the metro area in St. Louis to make $100,000 in 2019. That's insane. In the state of Georgia, every head coach that is down here is making buku amounts of money. So what does that mean? That means you get quality coaching. Not only do you get quality coaching, not only is it high levels of investment at the head coaching level, but the assistant coaches are heavily invested in as well. There are assistant high school football coaches here in the state of Georgia that obviously have to coach or teach classes and whatnot, but they're making not substantial livings. They're making solid livings, coaching defense coordinator, coaching defense line, coaching offense, being an offense coordinator, coaching offense line, doing whatever it is, right? Rome, Carrollton, Lowndes, Colquitt County, Harris County. These are all programs in the state of Georgia that have either already built indoor facilities or are in the process of building. I'm talking about tens and tens of millions of dollars worth of football and athletic facilities being built on high school campuses in the state of Georgia, primarily focused on football. Okay? What is going on up at Gainesville right now is insanity. What is going on in Carrollton constantly is insanity. What is going on down there at Lowndes right now is insanity. Rome High School is a feeding ground for college football players at this point. Okay? I'm talking like $30 million worth of facilities built on these programs and these campuses for football. Buford, Jefferson, city schools that have invested millions of dollars into the priority of their athletes. Okay, Gwinnett County just rounded up, finishing up all of their turf fields in their whole Gwinnett County area for all of their high schools. So guess what? I would imagine pretty soon they're going to make some rounds on some indoors themselves. I don't know where they're going to find the space to build them, but they're probably going to do it. Bottom line, again, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. There's always been great talent here. There's always been great football players. Per capita, Georgia puts out NFL football players at a higher rate than any other state in the last 5 years. Okay. But I don't think people know that it's at this rate. I don't think people know that guys like Joey King, I'm not going to pocket watch Joey King tonight, but I don't think you realize that Joey King, the head coach at Carrollton High School, left a potential offensive coordinating job at South Florida and what was moving towards a Power 5 conference job to come coach high school football in the state of Georgia. Come on. Like Kareem Reed, an off-field analyst down there at Florida, was one of their top analysts under Billy Napier, making God knows how much money in college football, coming back to coach high school football at McEachern. It's a lot of money being poured into high school football. It matters. Okay, so all of that timing for your program to be winning national titles at this clip, boy, I mean, he worked his ass off to get there. Don't get me wrong. You got to give Kirby Smart some credit for the first 7 years, but that dude could kick his feet up. I mean, he won't. He's a psycho. He's not going to, but that dude's going to kick his feet up, or could, for a very, very foreseeable future. The 2024 class is bonkers. The 2025 class in the state of Georgia is going to be nuts. And by the way, Alabama, the school, the place right next door, they don't have a terrible track record of going in there if they want to battle. They really don't. I don't think they're going to have a problem this coming up year. Outside of one school, Thompson, you ain't beating nobody in Thompson for an Alabama football player if the Crimson Tide want them. But other than that, Georgia can go toe to toe with just about anybody because it's not that far. Doesn't matter. The kids don't see it that way anymore. So if they prioritize winning, right now one school is winning at a higher clip than the other. Will it hold that long? I don't know. So yeah, your football program is at the pinnacle of the sport at probably the most ideal time to be winning, right? Because again, under Kirby Smart, I don't think you will ever 10,000 times ever be an NIL-based football program. You won't. You will not hear Georgia out here spending that bread. So they're going to have to win and be close to the talent. And they got both of those in spades right now. I think it's Combine Week. Is it Combine Week? I think it's Combine Week. It's definitely Combine Week. There was news today. Jalen Carter's not going to work out at the NFL Combine. I told you last week when we did our 40 segment, if you recall, that I don't think, he's going to go out. That he would have gone out there and put up alien-like numbers like his teammates did last year. I've never envisioned or thought of Jalen Carter as super twitchy, long-form runner. It's not what he is. Jalen Carter is, I think of power. I think of raw power. And I think of an immense athleticism in a 5-yard box. That dude can go from A to B in omnidirections as fast as anybody on this planet in a 5-yard box. That's it. And you know what? That's all you have to be a great, a 1% defensive lineman. But I didn't think he was going to go out there and run some like 4.71 40 like the guys did last year. Again, all of his wow plays are super strength plays. Him ripping dudes down on their face, him swimming over a guy and then jumping another gap to tackle a running back, all within that 5-yard span, right? We saw clips of Jordan Davis running down quarterbacks in college. We heard rumors of him running 20 miles an hour almost in practice. We have not heard these things about Jalen Carter. You know why? Because he didn't have the top end speed like that, but he doesn't need it. He's got world-class speed and twitch in a 5-yard box. This rectangle that we are in, he darts everywhere. Okay, that's what great defensive linemen need, and that's what he is. And I don't think it's a big deal that he's not working out. It doesn't mean a hill of beans unless it does. I said that at the top of the show. It does not mean anything at the NFL Combine, what you run, jump, do whatever, work out on the field. It does not mean anything unless it does. Okay, what do I mean by that? All right. He's not the only top 10 pick that's not working out this week. Tyree Wilson, the 6'6", 270+ pound edge rusher out of Texas Tech, was expected to blow this thing up. He's got a lower body injury. He's not going to work out. So there is no opportunity for him to leapfrog Jalen Carter, who's not working out. Guess what? Will Anderson, Mr. Superhero, Mr. America that never misses anything, he's selectively working out. He's doing whatever he wants. He's just picking the drills that he wants to. Okay, it doesn't mean anything unless he does. Okay, if you're one of these guys that can show up to the combine and blow everything out of the water, like Devontae Wyatt, like Jordan Davis, okay, like Broderick Jones, then you train your ass off for that as if it is the world-class track meet and you got to run as fast and jump as high as you can humanly possibly do it, because it means millions for you. Broderick Jones, the NFL Combine means millions for you, okay? We'll talk about it in a little bit. Keely Ringo, running fast at the NFL Combine and confirming what everyone thinks of you, it means millions for you. Jalen Carter, walk in there, tell them to put the damn tape on and walk out. That's it. You don't have to work out. It doesn't mean anything unless it does, right? It has to mean something, okay? And the only way for that to be is if you're one of these 1% testers. And like we told you last week, don't think he is. I don't think he's a terrible tester. I think we guessed him around 4.82, 4.85, okay? Just not a burner. Not one of these guys. Doesn't need to go out there and test. Put the damn tape on. That's it. But let's preview the guys or the NFL Combine for the rest of the guys that on the defensive side of the football that will go Thursday and Friday. We're going to be here tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit more Combine, and then Thursday we will be on while the Combine is on. So we'll probably give you some live reactions and some different stuff while the big defensive linemen are out on the field. Even though I think Bobby Bill's going to be the only one to work out because I don't think Nolan's going to work out. So, yeah, let's talk about these defensive guys. You got Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Bobby Beal, Chris Smith, and Keely Ringo, and Jack Podlesny is expected to work out Friday as well. Let's kind of go through each guy and just talk about, hey, like what do they have to get done? What is this week about for them? And how do you go about improving your draft stock? And how do you confirm what we believe to be your or how do we elevate your draft stock, right? Agent Brooks, as we call it around here. Let's talk a little advice with some young men that are going through the biggest interview of their entire life, starting with Nolan Smith. Again, I don't know if he's going to work out the pectoral thing. I would imagine he's probably close to being fully healthy. But if you're not like 100% and not just 100% now, if he wasn't 100% 2 months ago, to be like building up to be like 110% and like max peak physical condition at this point tomorrow, that he doesn't need to do anything this week. He needs to go in there and he needs to wow people with who Nolan Smith is. There is not a there have been in years past guys like Jordan Davis that wow factor, that oh my God, that character-based eval, that intangibles that I don't really know how to place it, coach, but we got to have this guy on our football team. That's who Nolan Smith is. And there are teams that are looking at him in the first round because of this very reason, right? There are football teams like the Buffalo Bills or the Cincinnati Bengals or the Philadelphia Eagles or all these teams that were just like one series or one snap or one down or one sack or one play away from making a Super Bowl run or potentially winning a Super Bowl, or that being the difference, that little play, right? So when you're drafting at the back end of the first round and you're one of these we are close football teams and football organizations, by God, you need to draft someone that can get on the football field now and be impactful for you now and can make that play, be that one smidge of a difference. Even if maybe his ceiling is not as high as everyone else, if he's a guaranteed winner, if he's a guaranteed we can get this guy onto our roster and he will make our football team better. If he is Nolan Smith, then you need to figure that out at the combine and find out who that man is, right? That's exactly who Nolan is. I think that's exactly who people are going to draft at the back end of the draft. Or back into the first round. So I think this week for Nolan, it's about confirming what we already know as Georgia people, right? Me as a beat reporter, me as someone who had the opportunity to cover him up close, and you as someone who watched him for 4 years at the University of Georgia. You know who that human being is. You know he is one of the most vocal and outgoing leaders that the University of Georgia has had over the last 4 seasons, correct? Correct. So go be that. Go be that at the NFL Combine, Nolan Smith. Let's talk about Jalen Carter. We already talked about he's not going to work out. But I think the most important thing is that I can tell you right now, Jalen, if you're listening, they are going to poke and prod him like he's never been poked and prodded before in his life. They are going to try to get underneath his skin. And this has nothing to do with Todd McShay's comments. Zero. I don't need nothing from Todd McShay to know that the NFL is going to try to irk Jalen Carter when he's up there in their meetings. You know why? Because I know a couple of Missouri offensive linemen, all it took was a couple of shit talks and a couple pop-offs in pregame to get Jalen Carter ready to scrap. So I know TCU, if you watched all 22 of that, I know at the end of the half, all it took was one little side comment from an offensive lineman from TCU for Jalen Carter to be in his face. So I know right now, if I were an NFL GM and I know what I know about Jalen Carter, to hell with whatever Todd McShay said. I think he's a great teammate, but I definitely think you can get under his skin. And if I were investing, I don't know, $33, $34, $35 million into a 21-year-old, I'd be testing his patience. I'd be poking his buttons. I'd be pushing him. If I had 25 minutes, if I had 35 minutes, we'd be watching every single loaf the kid's ever had. And by the way, guys, turn the Kentucky tape on 2020. You find it. He's a freshman. He's a puppy. But he finna be a puppy when he goes to the NFL too. So there is tape. There is tape where we can say, what's going on here, Bubba? Hey, Devontae Wyatt just went out. Julian Rochester just blew his knee out. You're a true freshman. You're supposed to be the next guy. We all know you're great. Why are you loafing when we give you 45 snaps? Let's talk about that, 88. Here's this play against C.J. Stroud in the college football playoff. Y'all gave up 42 points probably because you couldn't get this guy on the ground right here on this one clip. Yeah, that's great. You made that guard miss, but why can't you get C.J. Stroud on the ground? That kind of stuff, 88 better be prepared for that. And I'm sure he has been. I'm sure his agents have put him through all these tests. But I promise you right now, and again, I don't need nothing from nobody to know that this is what's going to happen. They already have all of the boxes checked that they need. From a physical standpoint, they know who this individual is. He is who they thought he was. When he shows up, they already know. Top 3 overall type of football player. It is their job in that 25, 30, 40-minute interview to see if they can reveal who they can find out he actually is as a human being, right? Which, by the way, if my defensive linemen don't have an edge, he can get the hell on. If my defensive linemen don't have a little bit of that scare, like I'm genuinely a little bit scared of that guy every once in a while, he can get on. I mean, that's a combat sport up in there. Same thing with my offensive linemen. I see so many offensive linemen. I saw a bunch of them in Carrollton yesterday at that Under Armour event. I see so many young offensive linemen who are, for a lack of a better term, very, very soft. Okay, soft in their demeanor, soft in their tone. They are not confident young men because they walk around life big and they've always been big. And people, I'm not talking about like 6'3" big. I'm talking about like 6'7" walking softies, giants who are very, very turtle shelly. Okay, not a lot of these hard edges on these dudes, but I need that. We need that to play this position, right? There's been a 5-star here in the state of Georgia that plays offensive tackle. I think he's a borderline 5-star. Okay. He has developed into a man. His name is Daniel Calhoun. When I've told Daniel this, I don't mind repeating it here. And I know we're going off tangent, but this is related to Jalen Carter. I want guys to have an edge when they play a combat sport. All right. When I first saw Daniel was 6'6", 365 pounds as a 14-year-old freshman. And he walked around like everyone had told him, be careful, son, you're bigger than everybody else his entire life. And now, as a 17-year-old rising senior, that is a man. You talk to him, he shakes your hand, he squeezes that shit. Okay, he doesn't dead fish you no more. All right? He got some earrings on. Okay, he got some confidence about himself. He's got some pep in his step, and he throws his hands. When he is out on the camp circuit, he throws his hands. He is confident. He is physical. He is about his shit. That's what I need. I don't need passive-aggressive men to play this position on the offensive line or defensive line. That is not what I need. So you know what? After the 3rd or 4th time that Jalen Carter gets pressed, if he pops off as a general manager, that's fine. We just tell coach to only do it twice. You know what I mean? Like, damn, dude. Like, I think it gets like these are not bad. He is not a bad person. He's a good individual. He's a good man. He just got an aggressive trait about him. So what? He plays football. I don't know if y'all play football, but it's kind of crazy. You kind of got to be crazy. You kind of got to be aggressive. It is a car crash on every single play. That is what it is. You're signing up for asinine behavior. You have to be a little bit messed up, right? So I'm good with it. But if I were an NFL GM, I'd definitely poke him. Let's talk about Bobby Beal, another defensive guy that's going to be here at the NFL Combine. Hold on. Sorry, always reading text message during the show just in case. Bobby Beal, what's he got to do? So to me, Bobby's got to test with some twitch that I didn't see on tape. When I see Bobby on tape, I see oftentimes big, lumbering football player. Because he is big. He is much bigger than you would probably imagine. He's about 6'4", about, I think, 260-ish. He's a big man. So I would like to see him go to the NFL Combine and test relatively well. Okay, if Bobby's listening tonight, I don't think we can run 4.88 and be a 4th-round draft pick, 3rd-round draft pick. I think you got to go 4.72. Okay, you have to show some twitch that people didn't see on tape so they go back and look at it and say, right? Because as I've watched you over the years, Bobby, I think you're like a 4.82 runner, a 4.81 runner, a 4.8 flat runner. All right. If we can turn in a 4.72, if we've lost some weight, if we can show up skinny and run fast and then put on some big weight and not have to run at pro day, we might make a couple hundred G's. And that's what it's all about, because Agent Brooks is taking 3%, and we needed you to make as much as we possibly can. Let's talk about Chris Smith. Weigh heavy, run fast. That's it, Chris. That's it, man. Drink a shit ton of water. Make yourself throw up as soon as you get off the scale, and then go run fast. That's all you got to do. You can't do nothing about your height. Okay, you're gonna measure in 5'10" and 3/4, whatever it is. Can't do anything about how tall you are. We can try to do something about how heavy you are. And if that means you don't run at the NFL Combine, that's fine. I would run. I would run if we've been running it well, okay? Because at Georgia, it's not, you're not going to run that much faster. I haven't seen guys come in there and just absolutely blaze it. They take a full pool of the hand times. And at Georgia, there's 5,000 scouts there. So that's a bunch of hand times on you, and there's a bunch of variance there. Go at the NFL Combine, run a verified, run fast, and weigh heavy. That's it. That's all you got to do. The tape speaks for itself. You were a Jim Thorpe Award finalist. You were a Nagurski Award finalist, all right? So the world knows you're one of the best defensive players in this draft, but they also know you're one of the smallest safeties available in the draft. Weigh heavy, run fast. Keely Ringo, you're going to run fast. Keely's going to run sub 4.3 or around 4.31, 4.32. All right, he's going to run really, really fast. He's going to be big. He's going to be 6'2", maybe 203, okay? He's going to be really, really big. He's going to run really, really fast. I don't care. That's not what people are there to see Keely Ringo do. They are there to see Keely Ringo flip and find. They're there to see him flip his hips and find the football. That's it. That's all he's got to do. That drill where they turn them and they move them hips and they flip them hips, greasy. Got to be greasy. I hope that's all he's been doing. I hope him and Richard Sherman ain't been doing shit else but flipping them hips. Okay, that's it, because that's what people have questions about. Okay, I've seen some change of direction questions. It ain't a problem with change of direction for Keely. That is a byproduct of tight hips, though. It's a fact that he is a very vertical and linear football player. If he can go to the NFL Combine and prove otherwise, he will improve his draft stock, because right now it's like top 50 eval. Okay, it is not guaranteed first round, and that's what we thought it was heading in to this NFL draft. We got some super subs. Let's knock these out right quick. Actually, I'm going to look over here so I can actually see these puppies. Let's go all the way back up to the top where our boy Robert Reynolds is always showing love. He opened the show with 2 free subs back-to-back. Oh, that's Rudy. My bad. We had the back-to-back comment. Oh, nope, that's another one. Good Lord. Look at you, Rob. Look at you, Rudes. We all competing in the comments tonight. 2 subs for the back-to-back champs. That's 10. Or 20 rather. So we have 2 free subs there. Okay, Musclamp. We get that. We know what you're doing there. Shouts out. Rudy gave us another sub here. Says Notre Dame's eliteness is like being the tallest midget. I believe we call that short person or short people nowadays. So shouts out to Notre Dame being the tallest short person in the room. We have 3 free subs. Here we go. Excuse me. Robert says, the rival roast perfectly brewed Brooks. That's what 4 subs right there. 5 right here from Rudy. Kirby said it straight. 10K player, and that's it. They have to earn everything above that. I don't know if it was 10K. I think it was a little bit more. I think he actually said he was more comfortable with I think he said 10K a month, which is 120 grand a year, I think is what he said. So there we go. We got 5 free subs there. And I think we have one more. That's 199. Have you liked the stream and subscribed? That is a tremendous question from the boy. There we go. 5.5 right there. So we're stuck at 5. Go Dogs. We're going to be all right. This is AR talk. This AR talk is a mystery. Brain to Florida, no favors. He's talking about Anthony Richardson. Guys, when a guy looks like that, runs like that, throws like that, he's gonna get first round talks. It just is what it is. Carson Beck. Carson Beck has NFL eyes on him already. He, no matter what, next year will be a guy that people look at and say, this dude has all the traits. He's going to have 12 games, 15 games of film. He's going to have some traitsy stuff. He's going to do some traitsy stuff. He's already got traitsy stuff on tape. So these traitsy quarterbacks, they eventually get love. All right, that's the honest to God's truth. Will Levis the same way. And Anthony Richardson is by far the most traitsy individual that probably has been around since Cam Newton. And I think the arm's better than Cam. Cam had some weird stuff. Cam had some real elbowy type. Yeah, it was weird. Anthony is as clean cut as they come. So when you watch him throw, when you watch him run, it's impossible not to think that, hey, I can make this consistent. I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be the offensive coordinator to fix this, right? Dan Mullen couldn't do it. Billy Napier's offensive coordinator, whoever that was last year, could not do it. But I'm going to be the one. I'm going to put him around a decent offensive line and a offensive system, and I'm going to be the one to fix him. I don't know if that's the case. I would bet on it. I'm going to tell you what. I've always been, give me the dual threat guy. Give me the guy I can add into the run game that's big enough to actually take hits. And you know what? If it means we can only play 10 years with him and then he's gassed out Mike Vick style, is what it is. We were fun as hell. Okay, we were fun as hell. The Baltimore Ravens are so fun to watch every Sunday. When Kyler Murray's healthy, the Arizona Cardinals are so fun to watch on Sunday. When Josh Allen's out there doing his thing, yes, he is a dual threat. When Josh Allen's out there doing his thing, he is so fun to watch on Sundays. Let these dudes do that stuff. The stuff is so fun. All right, we got some news in the headlines today. Guess who's back again? Sorry, I had to do it. Tweeted it out today. Guess who's back? Glenn Schumann back at the University of Georgia officially today. The agents got the word out. I told you at the top of the show today, I'm going to be teaching you a lesson about how agents work with regards to the media. I can spot a plant when I see one. Mr. Chris Lowe, ESPN, wonderful at his job. Absolutely wonderful at his job. What is his job, Brooks? Well, he's some type of college football reporter. But the only stuff I ever see Chris Lowe doing is breaking contract news. Okay. And with regards to coaching contract news. Okay. He is notorious for being the guy that comes out here and relays. He's basically a mouthpiece for an agent. Okay. If you recall, some of you might remember Chris Lowe. If you're always on social media, you will remember Chris Lowe for being the guy that basically had a pub piece for Hugh Freeze when he got hired at Auburn. There was this, he's a God-fearing man. He's coming back for his second return. Everyone deserves a second chance. I know his wife. He goes to church. He's seeking counseling. The opposite of a hit piece, the exact pub piece. This is who Chris Lowe is. So Chris Lowe comes out today and tweets out that Shu, despite interviewing with Philadelphia, will be returning to the University of Georgia for the 2023 season. It's great news for the University of Georgia and its faithful. What does it mean? Okay, why is he out here putting out this news? You just told me, Brooks, that this Chris Lowe guy is obviously a narrative steerer. That is his job. He is given stories by agents to steer the narratives in certain ways. Like, hey, Hugh Freeze, great guy. Glenn Schumann, great college football coach, coming back to Georgia. All praise be to the UGA. What's the spin? Well, the spin here, okay, and the leverage rather, is that all great football players understand leverage. Okay, how to get low, how to beat guys off the spot, how to beat guys to a spot, proper angles, all that good stuff. Well, great football coaches know it too, and they use it. Okay, so needless to say, at the University of Georgia this year, I would imagine that you'll see some type of breaking news very soon about some type of pocket watching going on, somebody relaying the information about Glenn Schumann's new contract. Because if you think he's not getting a raise, you're stupid. If you think he's not getting a bump in salary, you're goofy. If you think his $900,000 base salary did not get an increase via this one phone call and potential interview with the Philadelphia Eagles, you are silly. It's going up. That's all it was. It was a leverage play. I'm not saying Glenn Schumann's doing this. I'm saying Glenn Schumann's agent probably is, though. I mean, you win 2 national titles, and the second title is you as the co-defensive coordinator. You're 34 years old, and the Philadelphia Eagles just called. Bubba, my price went up. No hard feelings. Understandable. Guess what, Josh Brooks? Break it out. Get out the notepad, get out the checkbook, and just get a man. Just get a man what he wants and give the man what he needs, okay? But we also told you, man. We also told you the other day that, like, hey, you are getting into a discussion. You are getting into a negotiation for a price of a piece of artwork that you have no idea the price of. People have no clue when they come and I would imagine no clue's wrong. They don't understand the full length with which Glenn Schumann has it at the University of Georgia. And I'm not saying he doesn't. I mean, there are probably better jobs in the sport of football being a defensive coordinator. I would imagine there probably are. Okay, maybe he hasn't found that one yet and hasn't gone yet. But when you're going to basically pitch Glenn Schumann, you have to understand that this dude does it different than anybody else. Okay, you know who's not like a super juiced up recruiter? Glenn Schumann. You know who is not like 100% energy based all the time? Glenn Schumann. You know who doesn't lose his voice because he's constantly screaming at practice because he's a high energy coach? Glenn Schumann. You know who doesn't is not always blowing up people's phones and recruiting with a guerrilla tactic where he's always on you, always around you, always calling you, always blowing you up. You know who doesn't have to do that? Glenn Schumann. He doesn't. Glenn Schumann is, I come to your school, I talk football with you, I leave. Glenn Schumann doesn't sit around and beg kids to come play for him. Glenn Schumann is not chasing 16-year-olds in their DMs. That is not this dude. This dude picks 2 or 3 of the best linebackers every single year and just walks into their living room and says, son, do you want to play on Sundays? Yeah, you do? Okay. Well, the last 8 guys to play for me have not only all been drafted, but they all currently start on NFL football teams. So come on. I mean, seriously, like this is a different level of access and type of football coach that is going on at the University of Georgia. This is not a dude that's out here having to grind the trail, though he chooses to do so anyways. And when he's out, I cannot express to you the difference between college coaches who are out here high energy, living tough, living hard, going to all these places, and I mean living hard. Glenn Schumann is not that individual. Glenn Schumann is a machine. That is it. And machines don't run out of gas because most of them don't. I mean, he don't operate on gas. I don't know what he operates on, but that is a different individual. And I don't think Glenn Schumann is going. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what his plans are for his future. We haven't even breached that discussion. I've never even spoke to the man about anything such as that. Nothing more than, hey, coach, how you doing? Outside of some events and whatnot. Doing great. Good to see you, Brooks. I don't know anything about the man. I just don't think he's the type to be overworked by what he's got going on right now. He's a machine that loves watching film for 18 hours. He doesn't, I mean, he coaches in a full sweatsuit and it's soaked by the end of the day of practice, but it's not like he's not one of these over the top energy dudes. He's one of these guys that looks to me like he could do this for 50 years if he wanted to. Just calm, cool, and collected everywhere he goes. And I don't know if guys like that get burnt out. Not to mention, have you seen his linebacker room? That guy would be goofy to leave the University of Georgia after all that work he did on the recruiting trail. Appreciate you guys for being here tonight. I know you had a lot of options, and I know you're going to have a lot of options moving forward the rest of the offseason, but guess what? We're here every single day, not every single day, every single Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday on this network and on this platform. We also put out some one-on-one footage from that Under Armour event yesterday. You need to go watch that. And, of course, Baxter Street Boys have been on the channel doing their thing. Appreciate you for being here. I love you. I will talk to you tomorrow.